Hello, I'm Toycat, and while some people think it's controversial where you place your tools in the hotbar or which set of armor you decide to wear, I think there are more debates and opinions which are so widespread that they are actively causing harm to us as a Minecraft community, and so I wanted to come out here and give you some actually controversial Minecraft opinions. You are going to be offended at some point in this video, but please be as civil as you can, and I think it's important we have these discussions regardless of what you think about them, such as the Java community being absolutely 100% convinced that Java Redstone is better. I think this is only true because there is a whole community of people who have played with Java Redstone their entire lives, or 10 years at the very least, and playing around with all these sorts of weird bugs that exist there, like quasi connectivity or just being used to the weird quirks of when things happen first. I think that the only reason that it's considered better is because there's a whole community of people who teach you how to do these weird quirks and systems in a way that just doesn't exist on Bedrock. I think Bedrock, Redstone by the way, incredibly buggy, and that needs to be fixed as a priority. However, I do think that we wouldn't see Java Redstone as being better if we lived in a world where the Java and Bedrock communities got the Redstone at the exact same time. However, because of the basis of Pocket Edition, Minecraft Bedrock got Redstone many years after Java, and by that point people were just confused that it didn't work exactly the same as on that version. I think the cornerstone for how Redstone should work on either version, and the biggest reason it's flawed on both, is that it should be easy for any new player to look at Redstone and at least have an understanding of what is happening where. There should be some key components that it goes into, and you should have a vague idea of what's happening, whereas most Redstone builds that you look at are just like, yeah, I don't know why this works, but it totally does. I followed it exactly like the community, but I placed one block in the wrong order, and now everything is confusing. That should not be our ideal version of Minecraft, and even less ideal in my opinion is the fact that every major Redstoner and every person who wants to do major Redstone has to test it first in creative before doing it in survival, because it's just so darn hard to do Redstone in survival. That needs to be fixed as well. I think that Redstone is a great system. People have done wonderful things from computers to making actual Minecraft in Minecraft. It's truly incredible. However, I think that it's really let down by this tribalism on the community, and it's also really let down by these bugs being accepted as fact. Speaking of bugs being accepted as fact, I think that as a Minecraft community, we need to accept that some of the things that we really like in Minecraft, whether that's going above the height limit of the Nether on Java, that's right, you can build on the Bedrock there. Funnily enough, you can't build on the Bedrock on Bedrock, but you know, that is a bug that has been utilized by so many people for so long that it's just accepted as an intended feature now, even though they want them ported to Bedrock because it's not an already existing feature there. Super strange. Things like the boats working on ice were originally the exact same way. They wanted to fix them, but we all just said, yeah, this is something we all like. Or to give a Bedrock specific example, the way the Elytra works. You can fly into a wall at alarming speeds and you'll take super low damage because they broke the the Elytra full damage, or the Elytra, I guess, crash damage for so long that now everyone is flying into things as their way of stopping, and they would have to accept that they're gonna kill a lot of players, and so they just didn't. This is a huge problem that just gets bigger and bigger as our list of bugs that we accept as being part of the game grows. I think that we need to have like a big reset where we say, okay, yeah, some things you like are going to become like full features on both Minecraft, Java, and Bedrock, and some things that you don't like are gonna have to become that way. Maybe we should constructively accept that rather than being like, no, I want Minecraft to be this way only, and maybe that's just me. The third controversial opinion is actually related to the F3 key. Minecraft has this F3 feature. I'm sorry if a lot of these come down to Bedrock Java. Don't worry, they're not all about that. But Minecraft has this debug mode that as a player you've always been able to access because Minecraft is very open about these sorts of things. And this is a feature that gives you all sorts of developer information. However, because it's available in all versions of Minecraft, Java Edition, there is this whole world of speedrunning on Java which uses this metagaming feature of being like, oh, I can see how many mobs are in a direction by using this debug mode, and therefore I can use it for speedrunning because they haven't locked it behind a wall of some form. If you take the Bedrock example where you need to be a developer or a marketplace personal, you need to have access to a special build of Minecraft with the debug enabled. It has all the exact same benefits for debugging your game, except it doesn't have the downsides of people being like, yeah, this is just accepted piece of knowledge in the game. Even things like coordinates, which I love by the way, they're on screen all the time for me, you could argue that they shouldn't be knowledge that everyone has because they're only available in this little screen. But especially you shouldn't be able to tell exactly what the name of a biome is and all of these other features using something that clearly is not an in-game item. I've always said that the way coordinates should work should be maps, and there should be some other items that can tell you things like the biome and stuff, so we can have in-game explanations for these sorts of items, and so you can investigate things that actually look that way, and so that speedrunning isn't defined by who is the best at reading this incomprehensible, which I'll admit, it's not actually that incomprehensible. It's easy enough to understand and see what's going on there, but it's just so much information, it covers your screen, it's very ugly, and maybe just as a video creator I hate that, but I do think that F3 should be toned down at least some amount so that it doesn't amount to effectively cheating in some way, and so that if people want to use it, they can get some benefit maybe if that's really useful, but isn't like the kind of game-defining way that it works right now. Speaking of game-defining features, I cannot tell you how many times I've heard for people to have quarter slabs in Minecraft. The same with vertical half slabs or with more partial blocks or whatever else that people ask for. This is one of those non-stop requests, and I feel like people who ask for quarter slabs or eighth slabs or 16th slabs or going all the way down to basically the bits mod where you can have these tiny little pixels you place on the ground, I think you're missing the point of the block building game. Sure, sometimes it's really great to build a really tiny build, and I've seen some people do some wonderful things just on the space of one block. However, I think the bulk of Minecraft, 99% of it, should be full blocks. The point is that we are moving around these blocks one by one as entire entities. Things get much more complex when you start to throw in half slabs and how they should react to light and all these other things, and then there's three-quarter slabs effectively in the form of stairs. All these sorts of blocks just add more and more complexity about how the game should work, and I feel like people do not realize that when they request it, but also I feel like these people don't realize that, yeah, the aesthetic of Minecraft kind of comes down to how these blocks work, and we can change that, and we can give more detail to these blocks, and as indeed Minecraft has been doing, but when you try to make blocks not blocks, you remove some of what makes Minecraft Minecraft, in my opinion. Just like, you know, again, this is controversial, don't worry, you're meant to be offended, but in the same way, here's a controversial Lego opinion. I liked when Lego was just the blocks that you built yourself into things. However, as a marketing model, they've worked out that it's much more effective to have all these tiny intricate pieces that you buy precisely one of each of them, and it makes you a race car or a Death Falcon, or I don't even know what else you can make. You can make Minecraft with these Lego sets, and they give you these bricks that are specifically only useful for one thing. There is this block that only looks like Minecraft grass, and it's very hard to use otherwise. I prefer that you have a ton of blocks that you can use in your own creative way, and even though I'm not very creative, it's still fun to try, whereas instead if you have a block, the trapdoor for example, because it's meant to be this partial block, is used sometimes as a trapdoor to come out the top of. I'll be honest, that's like 1% of use cases. 99% is people using it so they can have just a little bit of extra thickness in some places, and this is not really creativity when you think about it, because it's only able to be used in these certain ways. Same with, I don't know, like buttons being used as stone blocks. Having more creativity from the blocks rather than the weird items is probably a good thing. Maybe I'm just getting it wrong though. Maybe you disagree. If you do disagree, then this next one's gonna get you going to what is probably going to be a bad place. I'm sorry, but I think creative should only be possible on flat terrain, or I'll even allow custom worlds. You know, when you go to the customized world feature, that should be a thing. I think that we could even go a different step and say, sure, if you don't want it to be just flat worlds, we can have a different set of generation, but I think there should be less temptation in Minecraft to just switch back and forth between survival and creative. A part of me says that like, oh, this is good for the kids, and you know, allow children to realize that survival is a very different game mode to creative, and it's much more rewarding, because a lot of people don't realize that. If you're a child and you see there's one button you have to hit that allows you to immediately switch into the version of the game where all of those things you've been struggling for immediately become yours, you're going to hit it, and you're not going to realize that like, oh, that removed the value of having it. Whenever I watch children play Minecraft, I'm like endlessly, I don't want to say frustrated, but confused, because they're just flying around in Creative Underground. They're not having much fun, but they feel like they might be, because like, oh yeah, this is what you're meant to do in survival, but now I'm doing it so much easier. This is obviously a problem for children, like I guess you could mention by itself, but I don't care about the children. Controversial opinion number 6, I guess. Does anyone care about children? Aren't they just cats that look way less cute, scream far more, and cost hundreds of thousands of dollars excess? Okay, yeah, that's what children are. So I don't care about the children. Let's focus on everyone else who plays Minecraft. I think that creative and survival are both valid ways to play Minecraft. Some people suggest like removing it altogether. Of course, that's a crazy idea. Like it would, you know, there are lots of times where you want to be able able to have infinite blocks and you want to play around with things, I like using creative as kind of a way to like sketch, if you will. Like it's the early version of something before you make a real version. It's really, really great for that, and I love creative for these reasons. However, when you allow the exact same worlds to be loaded into survival and switch to creative, on Bedrock they give you one little warning saying, are you sure you want to do this? You'll disable achievements in your world. On the Java edition, admittedly it's not as easy to do from the game, but there's one setting, you open to LAN and now it's in creative, and oh, this whole world allows me to use all the blocks I want. People do this all the time, and sometimes you might argue it's great. Like if you lose your dragon egg, give yourself another one. Or if you want to go diamond mining but you don't want to waste the time, just give yourself diamonds. Except at that point, that's removing the point of Minecraft to me. I think that we should have a more clear and somewhat enforced segregation between creative and survival, because some people do amazing things in creative, some people do amazing things in survival, and right now as a community, sometimes you just can't tell what is actually a 10 out of 10 effort in survival might be a 6 out of 10 effort in creative, or vice versa. And it's just, to me, as someone who loves survival, that's why I fell in love with Minecraft, and who finds creative to be the kind of passive sometimes thing, I find it to be very strange. But maybe that's just my opinion. Maybe that'll change when I start talking about my creative world more, which I've been playing a little bit more of these days, hopping into, hopping out of, on a super flat world. But yeah, I do think that one of the other controversial opinions, by the way, to go back to that kids thing, because I'm sure someone out there is offended, like, I have children toy cat, and they're way better than cats. I mean, do your cats ever socially isolate you to the point where your only friends and your only priorities in life are making sure that this child is somewhat successful because the only accomplishments that happen anymore come from that? No. This is a really great thing. People love children. But I think that regardless of what you think about children, I think that saying that Minecraft is a game for children is one of those incredibly frustrating opinions that people have all the time that we should just stop accepting. I think it's fair to say that children are one of the demographics of Minecraft, but in the same way that children can watch cartoons, but yet also there are cartoons explicitly meant for adults with swearing or whatever else, in the same way that children can play video games as a whole, but also we don't pretend that, oh, you have a PlayStation 5, are you 8 years old or something? I think that we should go away from the narrative that developed, admittedly, somewhat fairly in the early 2010s. Minecraft did explode amongst children. With the advent of the release on the 360 and on phones, children can now play this game, and with YouTubers that were incredibly child-friendly, not only did those YouTubers make a little bit of money, but also the children got really into the game in an engaging way. It was great. However, to pretend that they're the only people who can play Minecraft, even the majority of people who play Minecraft, is factually inaccurate. A few years ago, they revealed that the average Minecraft player is something like 34 years old, and it's weird because I have this effect with my channel. I mean, obviously, when I talk to anyone in real life about it, they're like, oh yeah, it's weird. I just kind of assumed that you made videos for children because it's Minecraft, right? And obviously that's frustrating on a personal level. The reason I bring this up is because a part of that must hurt my pride on the inside and make me go, oh, this person doesn't understand what I do, and if I make the effort to explain, like, oh yeah, Minecraft is actually a game a lot of people enjoy. We talk about philosophy or whatever else. They're like, that's weird. You talk about philosophy to children, and it's like, yeah, there's like a perception is out there in the world, and you can't break it. And so it's important to me personally because, of course, like, who wants their ego to be hurt by the realization that people don't listen to what you say. They make an assumption, and then they use what you say to guide them around that, and that's super painful by itself. But also, as adults who play Minecraft, which is the majority of you, if not watching this video, then being out there in general, I think it's important to realize not to be ashamed, but also not to be that one adult who's like, oh, I'm like the one 25-year-old that's playing Minecraft. I'm so confused. What are y'all doing on this kids game? And it's like, no, this is overwhelmingly popular. I don't know. I think debates about demographics are really hard to have because how do you prove something like the demographics of Minecraft? We've seen that it's available in lots of different countries. And actually, here's my final controversial Minecraft opinion. I think that the Phantom is actually pretty darn good, right? I just love this okay, I can't say that seriously, I'm sorry. I think that villager trading in Minecraft, which is the best way to get all sorts of blocks from enchanted diamond tools to enchanted diamond armor to all of the weird different arrows to exclusive items that can only be found right there. People farm villagers for all sorts of different things, and even for emeralds, by the way. If you want to make a mega beacon, it's widely considered the easiest way is just to trade with villagers till you get an emerald one. It's kind of crazy that's one of the differences they made in the Village and Pillage update, and I think this is a problem. I think that villagers are a little too easy to farm right now, and it doesn't really make any logical sense. I think that instead of just having to bring them items and they give you emeralds, there should be some benefit to improving the village itself. I think even the village could improve itself as you improve it too. Right now they do a great job of teaching you the value of trading or whatever else, and sure, that is a wonderful thing we do in this capitalistic society we live in. I mean, I've traded you this video of my controversial opinions, and in exchange you gave me about 0.2 cents of ad revenue, so thank you for that, by the way. But like, you know, I think it's very useful for that, but it doesn't actually feel like a village of people who want to trade with you. It feels like a village of robots that go, here are my trades. In exchange for 4 melons, I will give you 1 emerald. In exchange for 13 cooked fish, I will give you 1 emerald, and in exchange for 1 emerald, I will give you effectively nothing because I am very unfair and this is designed to be difficulty. I think we could do much better things with the village, and it's kind of sad that like we just received a village update in 1.14, and it feels like, yeah, it's better than it was before, but it could be better than it is right now. And I feel like that's how a lot of Minecraft mechanics are described. I think the cool thing though is that they're always being updated. I like that they listen to community feedback. I hope that you enjoyed this video where I went through some of the big annoying things in my opinion, and if you did, then like, favorite, subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, because I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.